Are we ready to start?
I think so. Yes.
Are we?
Yeah,
Ready?
I'm ready. Are you ready?
Testing.
Born
All right.
ready.
Born ready. All right. Well, welcome to A Lot About a Little. This is the show where we talk a little bit about a lot of different things, a lot about a little bit of something different each week. That's what I said last time, so that's what we're still going with. I'm Logan.
I'm Reid.
And that's Reid. And welcome to A Lot About a Little.
Yay.
Before we start, got a sidebar to talk about a little bit. Somebody
We do?
is the birthday boy this week.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, no.
Is this why you asked for the logo assets?
I don't know what you're talking about, dude. You might know something about that on Friday when this episode comes out.
On Friday?
You might know something. This
Oh,
episode comes out on
gosh.
Friday.
Yes,
Somebody's
it does.
birthday is not on Friday, but I have it
For
written down in
reference,
my calendar.
We're recording this episode on Tuesday the 15th of August to be released on the 18th. My birthday is the 16th.
Yeah. Do you have any big plans for your birthday?
My family is in town.
Oh! That's why they're in town. Wow. I
Well,
didn't
that
put two and two
and-
together.
And they came to see some baseball games.
Oh, okay. I see. I
but-
told you I wasn't good at math. Putting two and two together was not my strong suit.
Yeah, it's just 4 Logan.
I know. Well, I mean, I can't put things together, but well, that's a fun time. It's nice to see
Yeah,
the
we're,
fam bam
We're going out to dinner.
Okay.
And a big moment, the girlfriend is meeting the parents.
Whoa! Is it going to be like the movie? Is it
What-
going to be
what
like
movie?
the movie? Meet
What
the
reference
Parents?
am I not getting here? Oh, never seen it.
Oh, what? You've never seen
for-
Meet the Parents?
For everyone listening, let's get this out in the air. Reid is not a big movie watcher, okay?
Okay.
I'd rather watch a TV series than watch a movie. Okay?
Well, first of all, you're wrong. How our industry is well, I don't know. I'm not even going to get into that. But film, I love a good movie. Meet the Parents, Meet the Fockers, solid
Do we have to censor
film. No, Meet the Fockers. The main character's name is Gaylord Focker.
that? Oh my
That's
gosh.
The actual name of Ben Stiller's character in Meet the Parents.
Oh, it's Ben
and Meet the
Stiller. I may need to
Fockers.
watch it now. He's good.
It is so funny. And then the Meet the Fockers one is, I think, even more funny than the first one because the
Okay.
first one is Meet the Parents where he meets her parents. Then the second one is where they meet the Fockers. Or maybe Meet the Fockers. No. I think Meet the Parents is the first one. But either way, that'll be an interesting
Yeah.
experience tomorrow.
That it will. That it
How
will.
are we feeling about that? We can cut this out if you don't want to have this in there. But
No, we can keep
you're
it. I
editing
feel
this
fine.
one anyway.
I
All
feel
right.
fine. I've been trying to think of ways to throw her off, which is funny because I can talk about these because she won't find out about it until after the fact if she listens to this. This is great, actually.
Well, see, you know what else
Because
is
we're
funny?
recording
Is
this
at least your
before
girlfriend
dinner,
listens.
but it's releasing after dinner. Okay? So I've been tempted to, my boss does this thing with his wife where he'll tell me that they'll go out to dinner and he'll tell her beforehand that he'll order for them.
oh,
Okay. So he'll be like, "Oh, do you know what you want?" And she'll be like, "Yeah." And he's like, "All right, I can tell. I can tell the waiter or the waitress, what we all want."
okay.
So then,
very
so
strange.
the waiter or waitress will come, and will be like, and then he'll be like, "Oh, I'll have the cheeseburger," and then he'll go, "Oh, sorry, what did you say you want again?" And he'll like pretend like he forgot what she wanted, so she has to talk to the waiter or waitress, and it irritates the heck out of her. And I've been wanting to try it with my girlfriend for the longest time, and I keep on forgetting. So maybe it'd be a good time to pull it out tomorrow.
That would be hilarious because my girlfriend is also pretty. I will call her shy. She doesn't like to talk to
Yeah.
the waiter, so she'll be like,
Yes.
"Oh, just order my food." And
Yeah, she's
I
never
haven't done
asked
that.
me to, but I don't think she would have a problem with me offering. Because every time we go somewhere we need to like order from a counter, I'll always tell her to go first because I don't know what I want normally.
Yeah.
Because she is someone that needs to look at the menu before we go anywhere, and I'm someone that doesn't. So we go
You know
somewhere,
what?
and she has her whole order planned out, and I'm like, I don't know, I'll probably just look at the menu when we get there.
Yep. You know what's funny is we are the exact same way. She'll look at the menu. She's in the car looking at it. I'm like,
Yep.
nah, I'll be fine. I'll go
Exactly.
there, but then I'll still order first. So
Oh, okay.
from the door to the counter, I already decided what I wanted.
That's impressive.
Well, I mean,
I'm
it's
not quite
a lot
like
of
that, but
it's training. Okay, that took a lot of training because even
how do
Nicole,
you
she'll just be
exercise
like,
this muscle that you flex here?
well, if you look at my body, there's not a lot of muscle going on here, but that muscle, I mean, the muscle for food is always,
It's
very
always
well
going.
worked out. Absolutely,
Yeah.
absolutely. But that'll be fun.
Yeah, I'm looking
Uh,
forward to it. It should be a good time.
it should be. Where are you going, if you don't mind me asking?
We're going to a local restaurant.
A local restaurant? Okay, that'll be.
My brother found it.
Oh, is your brother in
uh,
town also?
Yeah, he
Very
took
nice,
the train.
very nice.
So yeah, he has a good taste in food, and the menu looks good. So it'll
Very
be good.
nice. Well, I
Yeah.
can't wait to hear about that next week.
Oh yeah, that could be a
Uh,
good update episode. Special
That'll be a
guest
good one.
possibly. No.
I mean, we want to start having guests.
Oh
yeah,
man, that would be one way to start it.
that would.
I don't know if the right way to start it, but one way to start it.
Oh man. Yeah. Well, like I said, good luck with that, and can't wait
thank
to
you.
hear the report back. But that'll be a solid birthday dinner tomorrow.
Oh yeah, that'll be good.
But today, not tomorrow, today we're talking about a very interesting situation that I was put in a couple years ago. I feel like every time now this is just turning into Logan's interesting situation that he's been in at some point.
It's either you or your dad.
Yeah, well, I mean, most of the time it's both of us because
Your
he
dad,
just,
for not being a guest on this podcast, has contributed a lot of stories to it.
he you know what? Maybe we should get him to be a guest on the
He's
podcast.
like the
I bet he
third
would.
host that you don't see. It's
He
like
loves it though. He loves
like-
it. He's like, "Oh, you're telling that story," and then he just laughs.
your
he
dad
loves
is
it.
like the third person narrator to this podcast. Maybe it's just your dad's world and we're all living in it.
I think it is, at least for this podcast. But I guess this story kind of also involves my dad. A couple years ago, I was playing hockey with my dad, and I broke my neck. And
That's
that's
no
the
good.
simple version. But basically, what had happened was
That's the TLDR of how you broke your neck.
pretty much. What had happened was I was playing hockey. I played hockey pretty much my entire life. I was starting to play a little bit more club hockey as I got towards the end of high school. I had some other health stuff that came up beginning of college, so I didn't get to play early in college. But it was looking pretty good. I was looking like I was gonna play for the school that I went to, that you and I both went to. That was the
Yep.
idea, at least
Yeah.
I had in my head. So I was starting to kind of condition a little bit. I was playing with my dad a few times a week. We were playing in a men's league hockey during the week. It was a Tuesday night. And we were playing, and this team that I was on, they were very good, okay? I mean,
Okay.
we beat every team by 7, 8 goals,
Jeez.
That's just how this team was. And this was their lower division
Absolute
team. They had
powerhouse.
an upper division team as well. So this was
Okay.
the minor leagues, before he got called up to the show up there. But
Yeah.
um,
The
we,
show of men's league hockey.
oh well, it used to be a pretty big deal at that ice rink. Believe it or
Oh,
not, there
all
used to be. It was one of the largest men's league programs in the entire country. Was at this? Yeah, it was the person who was in charge. This is a sidebar, but that person was nationally recognized for the whole company of the ice rink when I worked there for his achievement in building that particular men's league. Anyway, that's all besides the point.
That's impressive.
It is. He was a good guy. He's since passed away now, but I really liked him a lot. And his name was Hawk. We called him Hawk. And Hawk was there this night. He was watching the game, and we're playing as we normally do. Game time starts at 10:40. We had the late game that day. Start time of 10:40.
Oh god, those are the worst.
They are so bad, and that's one thing I
Yeah.
don't really miss very much about playing men's league hockey is having
Yeah,
the late
the
game.
late
but-
times. Oh gosh.
Yeah, and as a fellow hockey player will know, I mean, comes around, I feel like, more often than not. You know what I mean?
The late times.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, they suck because like I get home from work at 5, I have dinner at like 6, and like for an 8 or even 9 o'clock game, I'm getting ready to leave for the rink like somewhat shortly after that. But then you get like a 10:15, and you just feel like you're sitting on your couch just staring at the wall for hours before the game.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because I'm like so mentally prepared. I'm like, I'm ready to go. But I'm like, well, I still have 3 hours before puck drop, and like I do not need to be there that early.
Exactly. And then when you get home, you're like still all amped up, you're like laying in bed, like staring at the ceiling, like, I'm going to go hit somebody, something
Yeah,
like
because
that.
the adrenaline's still going, and you're just like wired still from the game. Yeah.
Exactly. So the late games kind of suck, but on this particular Tuesday, we had a late game.
This late game would especially suck.
Yeah. It was especially not fun. It was the second day of my first semester transferring out of community college. So I went to community college, got my associate's degree, and then graduated mid-year after 2.5 years. So I started at the university that you went to and the university that I went to.
So this would have been like a January?
This is January 17th, 2020. January 17th, 2020.
Okay.
And went to class Monday, went to class Tuesday, played hockey Tuesday night, and we were playing, second period. I get the puck. I'm breaking out through the neutral zone. I kind of chip it around the defenseman. Now I'm going in on a breakaway. Okay, past the defenseman, going in on the right wing side, down towards the net. I'm inside the blue line, hit about the hash marks for all you hockey fans out there.
Yeah.
Take a shot, and kind of went up over the net a little bit, missed the net. Hit the glass to the upper right side, so the puck went to the right of the net, and I go to the right of the net.
You're cutting in front of the goal?
Yeah, I'm going full speed. Well, I'm kind of just going like straight. Like I was kind of coming down the right side of the ice.
Oh,
so
you were on the right side, shot wide right. So right. Yeah.
And I was like pretty much in between the circles. So I was coming pretty much straight at the net, and and then kind of just turned a little bit to the right and went just past the net.
Sure.
And when I did that, this goalie, the whole game, I mean, was sticking people, poking at people with a stick and kicking his leg out,
I haven't heard this part of this story.
And so he, as I'm skating by, he kicks out his left leg and trips me.
Oh,
and then I fall down, and I'm going full speed. I mean, as fast as one can go. Full speed, and because I'm so tall and I was like right at the goal line when I fell, I turn, and pretty much as soon as I kind of hit the ice and my head like started to come in contact with the boards at the same time.
Okay.
So I kind of cobra'd into the boards. So for those who are watching on video, like if my finger was like, it kind of went like that,
You like scorpioned.
Yes, I scorpioned into the boards.
Oh, gosh.
And I did not lose consciousness,
You were wearing a cage, right?
I was wearing a full cage, which
that would have messed
life.
up your nose, I imagine, too, had you not been.
I mean, it would have broke. I would have died, essentially. I mean,
yeah, probably.
They literally were like, you're... I'll get to that part in a second, but...
Yeah.
Yeah. And so, didn't lose consciousness or anything.
That's the craziest part.
I know. I mean, I was like, the first thing I did is I kind of felt like a shock go from like my body down to my extremities. Like,
that's got to be such a scary feeling.
It was. And so that's why the first thing I did was literally I'm laying there and I like touched all my fingers to the glove to make sure I could feel it, touch my toes to the top of the skate to make sure I could feel my extremities still. And I could. So I was like, okay. And, and I was still alert, still, knew what day it was and stuff.
At that point, you had just thought you took a hard hit into the boards or a hard fall into the boards.
A hard fall. And I felt like my back, like my upper back was kind of like tight now. So I thought I pulled a muscle like in my back.
I feel like that's natural, though, because when something like that happens, your muscles will tense up. Right. And that can cause things to be sore and stuff. So that's not too out of the ordinary.
Exactly. And so that's kind of why I felt like that. And so I am kind of laying there for a second, and I was like, all right, I just need a second. And my dad hopped off the bench and came over and was kind of just like, are you all right? And I was like, yeah. And he's like, well, just stay there. Just stay there for a minute. You know, that literally
I
what
was
he
gonna
said.
make a
Are
reference
you all right?
to. I was gonna make a reference to last episode, and I was gonna ask if he asked to see your wallet. Skates back to the bench and goes, "Anyone got $3?"
Oh, God. Haven't heard episode number 7 of A Lot About a Little, out now exclusively on Spotify. Be able to understand what the reference Reid is making.
Sorry, that just popped in my mind. I had to say
it. That's funny. But no, he didn't ask me for $3. He's like, are you all right? Yeah, I lay there for a minute. Then I was like, all right, I'm ready to get up. So I get up, and I'm kind of a little woozy. I found that out later. I got the security camera video. You can't see me hitting the boards, but you can see me come in and like what happened. You can't see when I making contact with the boards.
You can see
but
what
then
led
you
up
can
to it?
see me skate up. Yeah, you can see me
Okay.
skate off
Oh,
afterward. And
okay,
I'm kinda
okay.
just
Afterwards,
like whoa, you know, a little loopy.
Yeah.
I got helped off the ice. Hawk was there. He's like, "Are you all right?" I was like, "Yeah, I'm fine." You know. And so we go in the locker room again. It's the second period, so they've still got half the game left. And I'm like,
yeah,
you know, something's not right in the neck or in like the back. I'm like, I'm probably gonna just sit out the rest of the game. And my dad, he's like, all right. And so he goes back out. Second period ends. He comes back. He's like, how are you feeling? I'm like, all right. And I'm starting to get undressed. You know, I took off my shoulder pads and stuff and everything. And he's like, you all right? I was like, yeah. And then he's like, you want me to kill him? I'm like, what? He's like, the goalie. Like, you want me to go hurt him? I'm like,
this is
no.
another out-of-pocket moment, courtesy of your dad.
I'm like, no. Like, what good is that gonna do?
Do you want
know?
me to kill him? Oh my gosh.
He might have not said that. He was like, "You want me to go hurt him?" I was like, "No, like
No.
that's not going to do anything at this point. You know, it's just
No,
going to make
yeah.
everything worse, and you're going to get kicked out." Like the goalie did get a 5-minute major in the game misconduct, but he was allowed to finish the game for some reason. So,
Okay.
that's just.
I mean,
a whole
it's kind of
nother
different
thing.
in men's league when you don't have a fill-in goalie on standby.
Right. So I think they let him finish. But, I
Okay.
mean, I did know the ref, and, I mean, again, it's not the ref's fault or anything.
No.
So, third period, I continue to get undressed, take a shower. So, I got totally undressed, took a shower, and was kind of like, you know, letting the water beat on my neck. I was kind of doing some neck rolls
Yeah.
and stuff, which I was like, something's, you know, not right.
Yeah.
And I was like, I think we should just go, you know, to the emergency room because it's upper, like, neck area.
Yeah.
And I was like, something's, you know, not right, so we need to
I
just
say
do
you
that.
don't mess with that either. Yeah.
Exactly. And that's how my dad felt as well. So we ended up going to the hospital near my house. And as he's driving there, I'm just trying to keep as steady as possible. And he's hitting every single pothole in the history of potholes. I'm like, Dad, can you at least try and drive a little smoother? You know what I mean? I mean, come on. I mean,
He's
I
like,
have
no,
an upper,
I'm trying to get you there, Logan.
I guess. I don't know.
Oh my
He's
gosh.
like, and I'm like, okay. And so we go there, you know, still get my blood pressure and stuff. There's someone throwing up in the lobby. It was just, it was like
great
this
times
classic
at the ER.
ER moment. Okay. So they call us back. I'm sitting in the room
How
or
long
whatever.
did you have to wait in the ER?
It wasn't very long because, I mean,
Okay.
it's after midnight by the time we get there.
That's
so
true.
It's,
I figured that your case would be, you know, a little bit
Yeah.
more higher-ish priority.
No, you would think so, but no. There's like, you know, someone's got a boo-boo on
I'll come
their
back.
tummy, and they're like, this guy is higher priority. Whatever.
Yeah,
Okay.
this guy just has a neck injury and could be paralyzed, but, you know, that's okay.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I didn't think anything was wrong, so I was like, basically, like, yeah, you know, I don't know, something might be wrong, this and that. So I
yeah.
had an X-ray, and I had a CT scan, and I couldn't when
Okay.
I laid down for the CT scan, I couldn't sit up, like by myself. You know, it hurt.
Yeah.
There was a shooting pain down from my like top of my neck down to like my tailbone. It was like, oh, I can't sit up, so I had to be helped up. And then they don't really say anything after that. We go in the room. A couple minutes later, they bring in like a collar, like a neck brace, and they're like, "All right,
Yeah.
this is just for precautionary reasons. That you might have something there. So we're just gonna put this on you for now." And now I'm
Sure.
starting to get nervous. I'm like, "What?" A couple minutes later, they're like, "So you've a fracture on this. It could be unstable. It's looking like you're gonna need surgery." I was like,
Oh my
"What?
gosh.
Like, what are you talking about?"
Yeah.
And they're like, it's pretty bad. Like, you could have paralyzed yourself just riding here. I was like, what?
I would say that's like the thing where like if you would have like turned your head weird in the locker room when you were taking your gear off or something, like
Well, I did.
that's wild.
I mean, I was not. I was doing. I was doing
That's
like some
true,
of this, and I was just trying to loosen it up again because I thought it was in my back.
Yeah.
And so I was like, what the heck, And this hospital is like a local hospital. It's not. It's probably a good hospital. I know people who
Sure.
have stuff down there, but like, I want to go to like a Chicago big name hospital. So I was kind of like, yeah, I don't. I mean, I'm not trying to have surgery at this hospital. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Get a second
Eh,
look at it too. Yeah.
Exactly. And so the next day we went and got a neck brace, and we went downtown to Northwestern, and they were basically like, yeah, here it is. Here's a fracture. This looks, it should be fine. We're going to do an MRI just to make sure, but you should just, you'll follow up in a couple weeks, and you'll just wear the neck brace. Okay. So do the MRI, go home. The next day, so this is now, that
The
was
next day.
Wednesday. This is
Good one.
Thursday.
Yeah.
Right. This is next day. I get it. The Thursday rolls around, and I get a call at about 1 in the afternoon. And they're like, "This is the nurse practitioner I saw the day before," and she's like,
From Northwestern.
From Northwestern,
Sure.
and she's like, "You need to come. You need to go to the emergency room immediately." And I was
Oh
like,
gosh.
"What?" And they're like, your fracture could be unstable. You need to come in. You could paralyze yourself. You really should call the ambulance, but you probably, if you want to come here, you got to drive yourself. And I was like, okay, I guess. And at this point, I was like freaking out, like, oh
Yeah.
gosh,
Understandably.
This was the second emergency room. We go to the Northwestern emergency room now because this is where they said to go. And they're like,
Yeah.
oh, it'll be an 8-hour wait.
8 hours.
And I was like, 8 hours? You told me to
Jeez.
come here.
Yeah. You're like,
what are you
I
talking
damn near
about?
had an appointment.
Exactly. And so we had to make some calls, and they made some calls, and then they really freak you out because the guy on the phone was like, they're going to come out and they're going to say some really scary things, but we had to tell them some scary things so they get you back right away. Like, oh, you're going to paralyze yourself, this and that. So they pulled me back there, and I had to lay flat on my back for 6 hours, which doesn't sound like a lot, but that's not
what?
fun.
That sounds like forever.
Yeah, and so I'm like wide awake. They had to give
Oh,
me
gosh.
morphine at one point because I couldn't sit there and not move, for 6
Oh, my
hours.
word.
And I was starting
Yeah.
to like freak out,
I mean, I would too if you're just staring at the ceiling for 6 hours.
Yeah, and so it all ended up okay though because they were basically like, yeah, it could have been really bad. So like your spinal cord is like through the middle of your vertebrae, like
Yep.
like a circle, and one side of the circle, like the two outside parts are skinnier than the front and back, and one of
Yep.
the outside parts was broken, like totally fractured through,
It
and
was
the
a
other one
complete
was
break.
still connected. Yeah, so
Jeez.
had I moved anywhere, any way funny, I could have immediately been paralyzed for the rest of my life.
Oh gosh.
And so,
That's wild.
luckily, didn't need surgery, but had to wear the neck brace for about 6 months. And I couldn't drive, so I was at home. And then COVID happened.
Yeah.
And so I was already at home when COVID happened. So I was like, honestly, this is great.
I'm built for this.
I really was because
Yeah.
I had people to talk to now. I wasn't just sitting at home alone. That I would
Yeah.
had, friends to talk to. My
You had
family
other
was
people
here.
who were also sitting at home.
Exactly. And so the moral of the story is, kids, if COVID ever happens again, all you have to do is break your neck, All you have to do is break your neck before it happens, and you will be prepared.
Oh,
But
my word.
luckily enough, it all worked out.
Yeah.
And we got back into hockey, and that took a long time to start skating again. I was totally off the ice for about a year. And
Wow. Did it
then
affect your balance or anything like that?
I mean, I've always been a little strange, Reid. You know that, so I think it just enhanced that a little bit. But
You didn't necessarily need to relearn anything hockey wise.
no, I mean,
You
I
said to
didn't.
get comfortable back on the ice, and I
Yeah.
I imagine there was that part in your brain too when you got was there any did you have anything when you were skating where you would get close to an end line and feel your body pull back a little bit as a response to that?
Yeah, I still do.
Yeah.
I just played in a tournament not too long ago, and I mean, this was now 3 years ago. This neck thing happened, and
Yeah.
it's just like an unwitting response because I'd be going skating into the zone, all of a sudden I lean back and stop skating. It was like
Yeah.
it was like living in the twilight zone. You're like, I can't do that, and that's why a few times I took that long break after it happened before I ever played.
Yep.
And then I was roughing. I could rough and not really think about it, but playing for some reason, still I just
Yeah.
can't get it out of my head. That
It's just
it's
a
just-
subconscious thought that you have, and it's not even something that's on your mind until it is.
exactly, and it's
Yeah.
I don't even think about it, and I don't even know how to express it in a way that's understandable for people who haven't experienced something like that. I don't know
Yeah.
if you've ever had a life-altering injury or experience that like that, but it's definitely life-changing for sure.
Yeah, I mean I had something, not to the extent that you did, but biking back in 2017 I crashed and landed on my shoulder. Didn't break anything, I don't know how, but was off the bike for a month, like a week and a half, just while my shoulder,
Yeah.
got unsore and everything. But for a while there, I ride with pedals that clip into your shoe.
Yeah.
So when you
okay.
come to a stop, you need to unclip your foot and set your foot down. And before the crash, I was fine just unclipping my left, rotating the bike, putting my left foot down, keeping my right one still in. And it took me a couple months to get back in that habit where I would just unclip both,
Right.
just without even thinking, unclip both, just so I had that right foot free in case I, for some reason leaned the wrong way.
Yeah.
And I kind of had to retrain myself on how to do that again.
Yeah.
And obviously it's not to the extent that you had, but I've definitely been there where there's something that happens to you that kind of just gets stuck in your mind a little bit, and
Yeah.
you kind of have to relearn whatever it was in a way.
Yeah, and it's hard to get other people to understand that. Even my dad, who's always like, "Why don't you want to skate? You should skate." And it's I want to skate and I want to
Yeah.
do it, but I get out there and it's just I can't. You know what I mean?
Yeah, and it's not even so much the memory of whatever you had coming back in your mind. It's just kind of your mind just doing it subconsciously.
Right.
It's not like you skate into the end of the rink and you relive that moment. When you do that, your body just it's almost like your mind doesn't let you get there
Yeah.
to the point of
Exactly.
reliving that experience. Yeah.
And it was just not fun.
Yeah.
And so
Do you
we're
okay? One thing I find really interesting in cases like this is how your mind can just forget things happen.
Yeah.
When I crashed my bike, I remember riding, looking down and seeing my wheel up against my buddy who was in front of me that I caught and caused me to fall. And then the next thing I remember after that is being on the side of the bike trail we were riding.
Right.
So do you remember what do you remember in terms of before and after the fall?
What's weird is I'm the total opposite of that. I remember minute details about everything
Okay.
leading up to it, and
Yeah.
I can pretty much recall everything that happened after that.
Really?
Down to
That's incredible.
what color the nurse's shoes were at the first
Sure.
hospital that I went to.
But
And
do you
it's
remember do you remember the moment that your foot hit the goalie's pad.
Yeah, I remember.
And you remember
everything.
going into the board?
I mean, that happened so fast.
Yeah.
Again, because I was going full speed, and
Sure.
so I remember the moment it happened.
Sure.
You know, I remember shooting the puck, skating towards the goalie, and I somewhat remember falling, but then I remember immediately hitting and like being totally aware of what's going on.
Wow. Okay.
So there
that's
was really no
interesting, 'cause
loss of time at all.
I'm the opposite way because I have the lost time from the bike thing, and I had in hockey to a lesser degree than you had. I was on the left side coming in, and I wiped out at the goal line and went hard in the boards, and I just remember like falling and then like sitting up next to the goal, and like my left thumb just hurt like a lot. And I went to urgent care the next day because I didn't know if it was broken or whatever it was. And the person that like the nurse that like was helping me, she's like, "Do you know how you fell?" I'm like, "Honestly, I have no idea." I'm like,
Wow.
"I just know I lost my footing somehow. I lost an edge somewhere, and I went into the boards. How I fell, how I hit the boards, I could not tell you.
That's crazy. I feel like any injury that I've had, and I mean I've had other I've never broken another bone,
Sure.
but I like broke a tooth one time. I fell on my face in gym class, and that's the same thing. I remember exactly what happened. I remember almost in slow motion falling down and hitting my
That's
face.
wild.
I remember going to the dentist. I remember eating spaghetti that night. Like it's just super weird,
Yeah.
traumatic things where it's like, and it's interesting to see the different responses that people have,
Yeah.
to traumatic events like that.
Yeah, I'm someone that will, like in those two scenarios, like block out, the actual event. I'll remember before and after it,
Right.
But other than that, like I don't remember what actually happened. Like I could not recall, any of the details of how like how the bike crash happened. Apart from what led up to. Like I know what caused it, but I don't remember, actually hitting the pavement. Or the same
Right.
thing with hockey. Like I don't remember going to the board. So
Right.
that's such an interesting thing. Like I like the way that your body can just like block out certain things
Yeah.
and just I don't know, just like make you not remember stuff like that is wild to me.
It is. The body's a magical place and an
It is.
interesting thing, and the mind is too, because I feel like that's mostly like your brain that is doing that, because like
Yep.
again, it's just so crazy how the body can respond to things, how the body can heal itself, and how
Yeah.
the brain can act so radically different between two different people is just amazing to
Yeah.
watch that.
And that's why we have people who get paid a lot more than us to study it.
That is a fact. Yeah,
we are not doctors. So don't take anything you hear in this episode as medical advice.
I mean, we're not really giving medical advice, but yeah, doctors are important people. Neurosurgeons are very not people because I think they're used to dealing with people who are unconscious. So if you ever have to talk to a neurosurgeon, be prepared for an interesting conversation. That's all I have to say about that.
Oh gosh.
But building off of what you said, I guess not really building off of, but for the question of the day today,
Yeah.
maybe we ask, what if you've had a traumatic experience in your life, are you someone who remembers every single detail of what happened? Are you like me,
Yeah.
or are you like Reid, where
You block stuff out.
block stuff out? Absolutely.
That's a
So
good question.
That'll be
Trauma
interesting.
dump in the comments.
Yeah. Well, no, I mean we don't need to hear. I mean, if you'd like to share, that's fine. But we don't need to hear
Yeah.
what it is. We just want
Do
to know.
not feel
if-
obligated to share.
Yes, we almost would
Yeah.
need like a poll question. I wonder if can we do poll
I
questions?
think we can
I
do
don't
that.
even know.
I think we can.
So maybe we'll do
Maybe.
a poll
I don't
question.
know.
Well, we'll figure
Where
it out.
people just
You'll-
vote on an option? Yeah, I like that. We could figure out a way to do that.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
we'll do that, and you'll see that below in the Spotify app, because you're listening to A Lot About a Little, exclusively streaming on Spotify.
Before we wrap up, Logan, I would like to come back to something we talked about in episode 7.
Okay.
I have gotten clarification on the beanbag toss name
Oh,
from my
gosh.
parents itself.
Oh, no.
Okay. They told me that when they were growing up, there was a game that was called beanbag toss, but it consisted of a vertical board with multiple holes in it, and you would throw beanbags through those holes.
Okay.
So it was not cornhole.
But okay,
So
but I'm not
then
seeing how
when-
that translates to a
Okay.
horizontal board.
So it was a similar-ish game to cornhole. So then when my family got their first game of cornhole or bags or something, the name carried it on over to it.
Okay.
So
I
that
see.
is where beanbag toss comes from.
Yeah. So maybe you want to work on changing that. Beanbag toss. Come on, dude. I played
gonna
beanbag
keep
toss in
calling it that.
preschool, dude. Well,
Yeah, you know.
I mean, I guess I call it bags, so that's not too much different, right? You just add
Yeah,
a couple
bag
more
bags
words.
something you get at the grocery store.
Yeah, and bean bags are filled with beans, so don't spill the beans. That's another quality board game. I don't know if you ever played that, but don't spill the beans. There's a big old jar of beans that you couldn't spill.
Oh, I definitely had that growing up.
Yeah.
I remember that.
So-
Yeah, that was a good one.
Well, if you were concerned or listening or wondering, I guess, what we're talking about, you can view the clip on our social media platforms.
You can, yes.
That was your
Oh, that's
cue
when I
to
plugged
say
them.
the
Oh.
platforms.
Wow. At a lot about a little pod on Instagram and TikTok. You can view that one and all the other clips from our past episodes, and maybe they'll entice you to give them a listen.
I gave you the old universal signal. I gave you the old point. I was like,
Yeah,
and
I didn't
go.
see the point. I think you pointed off camera.
I pointed directly at the camera.
Well, I definitely
that's
missed
all
that one then.
But we had a little bit longer of an episode today, so hopefully that was good enough. And you can feel free to cut out some of the parts about the neck break story. That kind of went on for a long time, but felt like we had some good conversations. I don't know what you felt like, but
Oh, I liked it. That was a good talk. I don't mind a little bit of a longer episode, you know? Give the people more to listen to.
absolutely. So till next time, we post new episodes every Friday in the morning on, like I said before, our Spotify channel, A Lot About a Little. This is Logan and Reid signing off. We will catch you on the next one.
See ya.